Well, hello, Liberty listeners. Welcome to another episode of Liberty Road. Today, you guys get to hear from Irene Chen. And if you don't know Parker Thatch, you are going to know them. You are going to fall in love with them. You are going to go out and get yourself a brand new handbag and some accessories. By the way, I'm not wearing it because it clinks too much, but I have two of your
Oh, no
your
way.
bracelets. Yeah. Obsessed with
Thank
them.
you.
Obsessed
Oh
with
my
them.
God, I love it. Thank you so much.
Of course, Irene, welcome to the show. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Thank you for letting me hang. This is awesome.
Absolutely. It's so funny. I'm sure this is the first time you're like seeing me and having a conversation with me. Actually, we chatted on the phone one time, some time ago, but I see you all the time because you do such a good job of showing up on social and just letting us be a part of the Parker Thatch family. Like when something new comes into the brand, we all know about it and how to wear it and what's going on with it. And you do a really cool job. Is that all by intention, or did you just sort of say, well, I guess everyone's doing social, I guess I will too?
No, I mean, it was definitely something where I think my husband and I started doing it. I think we started just the whole like sharing of what we were doing with COVID. I think that was when we were like, what do we do? You know, there's not much to do. And then so we started doing that. Like, what are we doing on it? You know, what are you doing today? And then we just had like a great, started getting a great community. We have so many friends on there now. And so it sort of grew out of that. And then after COVID, then we kept doing it. And so I just love, I think, sharing where I am in my journey, and it really matches how the product is. And I think it is all one, and I love it. And then we get to have great conversations. And honestly, we do this thing called PTTV every Friday. And it's actually my favorite part of the whole entire week. So I personally look forward to it. And it's just exciting. We get to just kind of go on there and have everybody come on, and we have chats and show what the product is. People ask questions about it or whatever we're doing that week. So it could be anything, but I love it.
Who knew that when you started a handbag company, and we're going to go back to the origin story, I jumped in here, but who knew that you could make that such a community, that would be a part of your brand? Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, it's so fascinating. And I think I was trained, before I did, we started this business, I was in a corporate environment. So never imagined that this is how we would have a product, and this is how we would interact with our community and how we would work with this product. And I think it brings so much, I think it just gives so much more meaning to what we're making and what we're putting out there.
Sure.
And I hope it translates when you put the product on, because you feel the energy that we're trying to, imbue through this product.
Yeah, I would say yes. I would say yes. As a personal fan, I was a fan before I actually got to know you and scheduled you to be on the podcast. So this was really fun for me. So let's back up a little bit. So Parker Thatch is a handbag company. You do have accessories too. I want to just say that, but it's a handbag company at its core. How did you come up with this kind of, there were handbags before you. What made you say, this is what I want to do? I want to go into this handbag world.
Yeah. So actually the handbag was not our first company. So my husband and I started in about the year 2000, when it was like the whole the web was coming on, everything was new. We started with an e-stationery play. That's how we started our first company. And it was called Moi. And we basically were our concept was, let's do paperless post in a way in the year 2000. Because when it first came on, I think there were like all those cards and they're all funny, but there was nothing really serious and beautiful. So we thought, wow, that would be so great if I could send you a beautiful email that would look like stationery. So that was our first company. And obviously I think it was just too soon. And people were like, hey, we need product. Maybe we love these designs, but can I have it on actual paper? So honestly, we started as a paper stationery company, and then we started doing home goods. And then a lot of our products were mostly customized with your name on it, with your family name on it. And it grew into like a whole thing of, home goods, basically trays, paperweights, ice buckets, stationery. Wow. So that was our first foray into working together. And that was our company, and it was Moi.
And what did you guys independently do before you hop into the handbag company? Because I wonder what you were each bringing to the table. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually did a little bit of finance, and then I moved to New York, and then I worked in fashion. So I
Okay.
worked at Calvin, I worked at Donna Karan, and that's what I did. I made, I did product. So
Okay.
that was really my background. And then my husband is, I would call him like he does tech, he does finance, and he also does design. So he's a
Wow.
360-degree guy. And so we have all these like traits, all these things that we've learned from our past lives. And then we came together to do, make our company.
That's
So it's
amazing.
really interesting.
And it sounds like you guys brought some key things. I mean,
Yeah.
finance,
Yep.
design,
Yeah.
technology. Like you
Yeah.
both were bringing those bits to the table. Your
Yes.
work with Calvin and Donna, which I just have to say, so I went to FIT. I
Oh,
grew up
no
in
way.
yeah, I grew up in
Shut up.
Colorado, and I went to FIT because no one from
Oh my
Colorado goes to
God.
FIT. And the dream, and my parents who immigrated to this country when I was 2, like I had 2 choices. I could be a doctor or an engineer. So the fact that
Oh
I
my
was going to
God.
FIT was like the only way I could
No.
convince them to do that. I was like, it's a SUNY school, like it's a 4-year
Okay.
program. I'm going. I had no real
Oh
talent,
my
but so I went
God, no.
into the kind of what they called the Marcom program, which is marketing communications. But the reason I went is I
No.
wanted to work for Donna or Calvin or Ralph.
No.
One of
Shut
those.
up.
That was
That's
the dream.
amazing.
So you hit two of those
Oh
for
my
me.
God. And it was
Um,
like the 90s. So it
yeah.
was like the pinnacle of craziness. So
Yes.
I got to work there when it was just nuts and it was fun. It was just crazy and anything goes. And it was crazy, but
What a
fun.
cool
I
time.
learned so much. Yeah. It
Yeah, what
was
a cool time. So you brought that, and then you said your husband with the finance and you with finance too, but then your husband with the technology piece. I think that was sounds like
for
that was the
sure.
one piece that kind of was missing that you were bringing to the table. So you guys sit down, you accidentally come into handbags, it sounds like, right?
Yes, we did.
Correct me. Tell me the
Accidentally.
story there.
So my husband, who is amazing, always like finding the coolest and the newest ways to do things. And so he came to me one day and he's like, "Hey, listen, I think I could print on cotton. We could do, like we could do printing on cotton. And what do you think? What do we, want to make?" And I was like,
Right.
"Oh my God, this is my dream come true. I get to finally make a product, because
Yeah.
we've been making home goods, but not like a product that I'm so
Yeah.
used to." So I'm like, "All right, let's make a bag." And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "Well, what bag?" And I'm like, "Okay, I don't draw. So I'm a big like sketch of a square and then I'll
Sure.
bring in all the different pieces and the measurements and figure out what I want to make." So I'm like, "Let's make a tote bag." And let's make it, and it was when Goyard was like really hot. And
Uh-huh.
I'm like, "Let's do a cool like play on Goyard. Let's do a great canvas tote bag with leather handles, but let's make it with a stripe with your monogram on it, just like
Yeah.
Goyard."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, let's try it." And so that's what we did, but we had no money like to, go and do a crazy run of anything. And this is like one of the main things that I wanted to talk about today was like just start,
Yeah.
and use what you have around you. It's like sticks and stones. So I was like, "Okay, well, I really don't have a sample maker. I can't do any of the stuff that I know that's how you have to make a bag. But I have a amazing dry cleaner that I get my pants hemmed at, and I noticed that she has not a FIT, it was like a San Francisco School of Design,
Yeah. Yeah.
a plaque, and I was like, "Oh my God, I think she has a design background." And Matt's like, "Okay, go ask her." And then so I went to her and I was like, "Hey, listen, you do your pants so amazing." Like she tailored my pants like an Italian tailor, and that's why
Mm.
I'm like, this woman's got some chops. So, and I asked her, I said, "Hey, listen, I have this idea. Do you think you could help me? Can you make me a pattern and can you sew some bags for me?" And she's like, "Okay." And that's how we started.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
our local dry cleaner in Danville, California, and she helped us make us our first sample. And then we still didn't have much money. We didn't know if this was going to work. So we're like, "Okay, I know there's 50% coupons," because I didn't even have enough. We didn't have a big capacity, so we couldn't
Right.
even buy a wholesale canvas or any of that stuff.
Right.
So we went to Joann's, and Matt and I would take turns in line and buy bolts of fabric and then take them to our dry cleaners. And we would make these canvas totes. And then we would monogram and customize them by ourselves at home. And then Matt literally would put the handles on them in our house, in the kitchen.
Oh my gosh. Isn't it crazy to think of those early days?
It's crazy. And it's crazy to think that that's how you could come up with things. And you're like, let's figure this out and
Yeah.
utilize anything you have around you and make it.
I was listening to a podcast with Emma Grade earlier
Okay.
today,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
she was saying it's kind of in the 10,000 hours kind of way of
Of
thinking, but
course.
she said it really is 10 years to be successful at anything. And 10 years of doing things, you know, she said, I've been doing whatever she's been doing, a variety of things for 20 some years. And it's only been in the last 5 years that I've had fun doing my job. Like I did so much that, and I was like, people need to hear that because there's a romanticized
Yes.
version of
No.
entrepreneurship or starting out, starting something new. I don't believe it is for everyone as much as,
No.
it's a wonderful gig if you can get it, but it's just not for everybody. And it
Nope.
takes a lot of ingenuity, as you just pointed out, a lot of hard work, a lot of sort of vision casting. What do you think it was responsible for keeping you and Matt in for this long haul?
We really believed in our mission and we really believed in what we wanted to do was, for us, it was always about how do we take something that is kind of pedestrian and functional, but make it luxurious. And that started with even the e-stationery, an email is an email and that's the, you know, I guess the functionality part.
Yeah.
But how do we elevate it and make it luxurious? And so the same thing with the tote bag is the same thing. Let's take a very pedestrian fabric that people paint on, walk on. It's a tarp, but let's make it into a beautiful bag and then elevate and make it luxurious. So it's functional. And so that's always been our mission. And I feel like we really believed in it. And, and we really believe in it to this day, always, every day. And it's like, for us, I think we just really had this vision and this is what we want to do.
That's amazing.
And I think also, like you said, like sometimes you look at your past jobs and we really had the great fortune of working at amazing companies that gave us such a strong foundation for being and, like kind of, I would always say it's kind of, scrappy.
Yeah.
But you had those great learnings from the best companies to be scrappy because you're like, okay, I know this is how I did it. And when I had $1 million to work with, now I have $10, but I could take those skill sets and apply them here. And I think it's really important. Like sometimes people are like, oh, I don't know why I did that job. I feel like every job you do, there's something you learn from that you can take to if you're really smart about it.
I agree. It's actually the advice we keep giving our kids. Like, don't worry about if this is your dream job. Just do whatever. Keep your head down, get into it. You'll figure out what you don't want to do, which is just as important.
Exactly.
But there is a takeaway. So you and Matt are creating these totes. You're monogramming them.
Yeah.
Well, how are you promoting them? Are you calling friends, and is it word of mouth, or how's this happening?
I think also it goes back to our background before, right? So because we had a lot of friends because I worked in fashion. So PR, I always knew. And this is before social media. PR was the only way, and the magazines was the only way to get your product out there. So that was our conduit. So I know, for us, it was very important to abide by, even as a very tiny, we were talking about this the other day, as a tiny company. We were on schedule just like a big company. We always treated whatever we were doing, if it was 5 units, like we were making, we were at Donna, Karan still.
Right.
So we always abided by the schedule. So we worked really well with PR and we had, luckily just our friends were in PR and the magazines really took to what we were doing. So when we made this tote bag, it was right around gift guide time. And so we sent it to every magazine. And I mean, it was just insane. We thought, okay, great. If one guy would take it and do one gift guide with it, it'd be awesome. But it was just like, I think it hit something, it hit a nerve. And they were like, this is fantastic. So we got very lucky with that Christmas when we first launched this bag.
That's amazing. At the time, was it, I can't really think of exactly when you launched what was happening in handbags, but was there sort of this, mid high end luxury? So because you're not the Louis Vuitton, but you're,
no,
but your price point is such that it's affordable luxury. it's still
Yep.
luxury, right? Is that how you would
Yep.
cast it, as affordable luxury?
Yeah, we're in the like affordable, like in that category. We started this bag in 2009, and at that time it was an $80 tote bag, which was pretty high for a tote bag, but it was monogrammed, it was customized, and that's what we launched with.
That's amazing.
And that style is still one of our best-selling styles in
It
terms of a
is?
body.
And
Yes, like
is it
the
the
body.
box?
So,
Is it the box
yes.
shaped one? Yeah.
Yes, it's the
Okay.
box-shaped tote
Iconic.
with the 2
Yeah.
straps that Matt was like, "Okay," all these things are ridiculous, right? Like, if you think about it now, he's like, What are you gonna do for a handle?" Because I was like, I came up with the shape of the box with the lady at the dry
Yeah.
cleaner, and I'm like, "I don't know. Why don't we just go to the leather shop and just cut strips of leather?" And then he's like, "Okay," and then we do holes, and then let's put rivets through them. I mean, it really was one of those things where we're like, "Let's just figure out what we have." and
Wow.
then and then had strips of leather cut, and then that's what he used as handles.
It's sort of life-giving for people who are listening, who are like, "You know what?
Yeah.
Starting with what you have," as you said earlier, the sticks and stones, like, look
Yeah.
around, what are your resources? Start there. And
Yeah.
also, I would say it it's easy for people to think that success will come when they have all the things, but
No.
I would say that having success with almost nothing gives you the muscle that you need for when you do have the things, because it's easy to squander the things if you don't know how to use them.
Precisely. And I still, to this day, I still love it when I don't want too many things to work with. I like it when it's just like, okay, here are the 6 materials you could work with.
Yeah.
Let's get creative what we have and let's go. And I think that's when you come up with a lot of interesting things. When you have too much sometimes, you get too confused for me, and I'm like, okay, you want to do all these things. But if you're just confined to what you have, you could get really creative and create
Yeah.
amazing things.
It's
So I really believe
probably
that.
good for the customer too, because they
Yeah.
they need something that reminds them of the brand, right? And
Yeah.
if it ventures too far away
Too far
from,
out there.
then it can be confusing for them. I have to ask, where's the
Yeah, of
name
course.
Parker Thatch come from?
Yeah, so we were IMOA for the longest time. Even when
Uh-huh.
we launched the handbags, it was 2009, so we were still IMOA. And as you can see, like IMOA was very difficult to remember and difficult. It's called I owe myself. Like who,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's French. Like what are you talking
Yeah.
about, right? And so it's ridiculous. And so when we did the handbags, we had the great fortune of becoming really great friends with Katie and Andy Spade. And
Mm.
Andy's a great marketing guy and a great guy who names things. Just he's so good at that. And he really was like, I love you guys so much. And I love this brand that you guys have created, but this name really sucks. Like,
Yeah.
I want to share this with my friends. I can't even remember it myself. And how do you even spell it? You got to change the name. So I'm like, okay, what do we do? And so they were part of, like, it was one summer and we were talking about it. And then that's where we're like, well, why don't we call it Parker Thatch? Those are the names of our kids. So
Ah,
Parker is our daughter and Thatcher's our son. And we thought, okay, this is great. So Parker Thatch, and that's where it went. And
I
then we
love it.
just changed the name.
It's a great name. There's something
Thank
sort
you.
of preppy and cool about it, and that's a little bit probably that original bag had a little bit of that
Yeah.
vibe with the monogram.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So that's our name, and those are our kids.
How do you so now you're bringing family even deeper into the story. It's not just you
Yeah.
and your husband. I want to ask you about that. The decision to work with your husband. It sounded
Of
somewhat
course.
organic in the beginning, but how has that been? What's been great about it? What's been hard about it? And how do you, when people ask you like, "Hey Irene, should I work with my husband?" Like what's your 2 cents to that person? And I'm sure it's dependent on the relationship, but I'm
Of
sure you
course.
also have something to say about it.
I mean, it's funny because all our friends are like, okay, ridiculous. I can't even like get in a cab with my husband and we're not
Yeah.
arguing about which
Yeah.
direction to go and tell the guy where to go. So Matt and I started working together when we first met in New York, actually. We were working, after my job at Donna Karan, he and I started working at this incubator, basically.
Mhm.
And that's how we met. And so we've always worked together, I think, and so I think that's was how we started our relationship. So it just kind of like that's how it works really well.
Yeah.
And I think, when people ask us how do we work together, I think the main thing is we really respect each other in terms of what he brings to the table, what I bring to the table. We have a real trust with each other. So, and we do very different things.
Mm.
So he does the finance, he does the marketing, he does, all the the computer stuff. That's what I
Yeah.
call it, the computer
The
stuff.
computer.
But
Yeah, I got
you know what I'm talking about.
We all know what you're talking about.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
And then I do all the design. So we have very separate, but we both come with the same vision. We have the same mission. And we really, I think it all comes down to respect and really like admire each other's opinion on things. And that's worked very, very like it's been very seamless for us. It's really weird. And
Yeah,
once we're
it's
done with
awesome.
the office, we do home, but literally he's probably down somewhere, right, having a call right now, but we don't see each other all day really until like 6 o'clock sometimes.
Yeah, because you're so much in your respective kind of worlds.
Yeah, like we're always in our calls and doing whatever until 6 o'clock. And sometimes we have a shared call, but that's kind of rare sometimes. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah.
it's cool. And thank you for that, because I think the respect thing is probably key in any of those healthy relationships. Never
Yeah.
mind.
And we bring really like separate, we bring different things to the table. And I think that's what it is. And we specialize in those things, which is really interesting, I think. So I don't step on his terrain and he doesn't step on, like we'll question things, but usually it's like, okay, you bring it up and you're like, okay, you know better. Let's just go with that.
I'd go with that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Thank you for sharing that. I was wondering, like, at some point, you've got the handbag. You and your husband are both in this. Like, this is
Yeah.
what you guys do.
Scary.
Like, you're putting
Yes.
all your literal eggs in one bag instead of one basket, right?
Yeah.
In a Parker Thatch, a very cool Parker Thatch bag.
One bag.
Yeah. How did you guys decide to sort of leverage that as an opportunity and say, okay, we're all in, we're going for it, but we're going to have to do more than this one bag, or we're going to have to figure out how we're going to scale? And you don't have a store, which is so interesting, because when you watch all you're doing on social, it looks like you have a store. I'm always, I remember learning that you did, and I was like, really? What am I looking at when I'm seeing all those? So is that in your showroom?
Yeah, so we have a tiny store in front of our office, and
Okay.
when we first moved into our office, it was just an office, but it had this beautiful window, and I'm like, well, why can't we just siphon off this little tiny 400 square feet for us to like display our stuff?
Yeah.
So we could have all the stuff out and take a look at it and see what it looks like for the season. And so that's how it started. And then when we started doing all the social stuff, then we're like, let's just do it in here.
Yeah.
And so it is sort of a store, so people could come in and buy, but it's not like a store. You're right. But I would, like we're always playing with that. But I really enjoy doing the PTTVs. I think that's our store, and I love doing it remotely like that. It's so fun.
Well, it's the wave of the future. I mean, we're here where people are doing all of that digitally, and stores aren't what you and I
love
grew
it.
up with them being. So you were ahead of the curve in that way.
It's the best day of my life when I get to do my, like that. I love. It's so much fun.
Cool.
It really
That's
is.
very cool. So so you made a decision to say, okay, we're going to have this one office. We're going to work with other retailers. We're going to act as a wholesaler, and this is our model.
We do very little wholesaling. So mainly it's D2C.
Okay.
And we have like partners that we work with in areas that we have a lot of, like great clients in. And then hopefully there's a place for them to come and see the product and touch and feel. So we're really mindful of where we put things. And I think that's really important. But so I think it came out of mostly we wanted to spend time with our kids. So we needed that work-life balance. And that's where that's why it's taken us also a really long time to get to where we are. But I think having that work-life balance was really important to us because, like you said, we both were doing the same thing. It wasn't like one guy was working, So I think that kind of grew out of that. And then it kind of okay, this works, and let's keep doing this. So
yeah. So does that mean that you guys sat down one day after dinner and said, okay, this thing could get out of hand. How do we sort of keep
Yeah.
this in
Like,
the sandbox that we want to play in because we want to be around for these kids. We don't want to be
yeah.
traveling to trade shows and things like that. Was it a conscious decision
Kind
like
of like
that?
that, yes, and, like, I still wanted to drop off, we really work well together in terms of also the kids, what we do with the kids, and so it's a real partnership on both ends, which
That's
is
amazing. Are you familiar
great.
with Eve Rodsky's Fair Play? Do you know that
No,
book?
no.
So it's, I mean, we missed it as a generation, but it's great. I have a daughter who's 22, and as soon as
Okay.
she's like, ready to enter into that kind of serious partnership, I'm like, here, you need this book. But it's a book and
Yeah.
like a deck of cards, and you're
Oh,
really like looking at the domestic responsibilities together. And if you do this, if you get this card, then you get this card.
oh,
And it sounds like
interesting.
you and Matt were
We
way
kinda
ahead.
made that up.
You're way ahead of us, way ahead of us. But that's what it reminds me of, just
That's
this
awesome.
way of looking at work and life, and how are we not just creating balance, but how are we creating a place where each of us can thrive? And it sounds like
Yeah.
you gave that to each other.
Yeah, and it's like, like, it's not easy. You gotta give up a lot,
Sure.
so it's not perfect, and I feel like it's a lot when you wanna launch a company and really take it seriously, and then also have a family at the same time with that responsibility, and then, it is a real risk also when both husband and wife are in it. That's a real risk, so you
Yeah.
really have to almost believe, really, like, "Hey, this is really," and believe in each other and believe in what we're doing, and it takes a little kinda leap of faith. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of all of that, but yeah, it's yeah, it's a lot to take on sometimes, and it's not perfect, you can't do anything 100. That's how I feel sometimes.
How do you feel when you think, I don't know the ages of your kids. How old are they?
One is 20 and the other
Okay.
one's 17.
So is your 17 like he's got another or she's got another year before?
Yeah, he's got
Okay.
one more year, so
Okay.
we're almost, gonna be nobody in the house, which is
Okay.
very
So you
sad.
and I are in the same boat. I have a
Oh, you
17
do?
year old too.
Okay.
I have a senior right now.
It's a hard time right now. He's like, "This is really stressful." I was like, "I know,
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
This is the end. Let's go."
The lie of senior year being so rosy is just,
No,
it's that, especially
it's
that first
tough.
semester, it's really brutal. It's really
Yeah,
brutal. Yeah. I think my not so little guy, my senior,
yeah.
had a brother and sister to kind of watch. So
Ah,
he didn't believe the lie,
yep,
which was good. Um, how are you thinking about your work as
yeah.
you become an empty nester? Is there something that's sort of like, "Ooh, this is an it's a him." You said it's a him. Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep,
So you're gonna miss him, of course. You're gonna miss
yes.
him, and if he's listening to this podcast ever, she's gonna miss you. But how do you think about like what's next in terms of
Yeah,
your work and in terms of just, I think, your life, you know, holistically as an empty
yeah,
nester?
no. I think what's so great is, we never get to go visit a lot of the places where, our community is or where we can go and do some time as a pop-up because it's always so crazy.
Yeah,
And I think this allows us to be like, "Hey, let's go to Santa Barbara and let's go there and let's work there for a week and then let's do a pop-up," and I think I'm really looking forward to that and like kind of going around the country maybe and just bringing our product and doing more of little road shows. I think that would be really fun. And taking, the social along and doing some
yeah.
adventures. I really am kind of looking forward to that. And having the freedom to do that, I think will be really a great thing.
Aren't you grateful that you have that? That
Yeah.
you're not going to find yourself, and it's going to be hard. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
waiting to be like, what is this empty nest thing? This is going to be rough.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful that I can dig into something, that I have
Oh
something in
yeah.
front of me that I can sort of.
So grateful for that.
So, and honestly, part of why we do this podcast is because I want other women to hear stories like yours and to be like, okay,
Yep.
I didn't start this handbag company 20 years ago, but what can I do? How can I learn from
Yeah.
what these women are doing and figure out what that means for myself in this
I
third,
totally
middle
I
third,
think
as we say? Yeah,
middle third, I think
yeah,
let's just see it as that this is the start, like I
yeah.
feel like this is when you're really like come into yourself. And I really feel like this is when you're just like have this attitude like, who gives a shit? Like, I really do have that attitude. So I'm like, who cares? Let's just do it. Sometimes when you're in your 30s and your 40s, you overthink things. So much overthinking, like now it's like, okay, I think this is right. And I'm much more comfortable with myself and where I am as a person. So I think most women who come to this time period of their lives, I think it's such a great beginning. And if you want to start something, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's really like, don't overthink it. Like, really, like, start small. And it's like, we started in a dry cleaner, like, start where you have things and you're like, we have so many resources. I mean, at your fingertips.
Yeah.
So whatever it is you want to build, whatever it is you want to make one and try it.
Make
and
one.
Make
Make
one.
one.
Don't make 100. Make one. And does this work? Does this not work? Okay, no. Make one.
Yeah. I love that.
And
I love that. I think the starting is always the hardest part, but it's the most crucial part. It's the thing that separates everybody that's doing from everybody that's dreaming.
Yes. And I find also don't have this big, huge thing you have to do. Maybe break it up into tiny bits, but do it consistently. I think that's what keeps you in the game, is the consistency through time.
Yeah.
It's like what you were saying. It does take 10 years. It does take the 10,000 hours, because you are consistently doing it. You're consistently screwing up. You're consistently making it better. And that's how you build, and everything compounds on itself. And I really believe in that.
Yeah.
And it's with your health, it's with your body, with anything. It's consistency is the not sexy thing, but it works.
It works. How has all that wisdom you've just shared with us, how is that? I mean, it's come with living, right? This is the beauty of age. And I think we can forget about the gift of age and what it brings to us and what it creates opportunity for. How has it informed the decisions you've made within Parker Thatch?
I think it really is, what we make is a real reflection of where we are as humans and as a society. Sometimes I see like the product, and I'm always moving forward. So it's like, let's not get stuck in, this was your bestseller 5 years ago. How do we constantly evolve? Everyone's lives change. Things change, and it may be just so slight, but I feel like you always have to keep with it, so that you keep with the times and you are of where we are right now as a zeitgeist. And I feel like it's really important when you're making product that you're constantly moving the product forward. I think it's really important, and keeping in mind though, with your mission in mind. So we're always thinking of, how do we make this functional yet luxurious, but how do we make it also of the moment of where we are right now? So I think that's really important, to have that balance.
Yeah. There's a piece that I don't know the name of it. It's a handbag that you guys have that has like a pocket, a hidden pocket in it where you can put your jackets.
Oh yeah. Our daily bag. Yes.
Yeah. I love that bag so much. I love it so much.
I love that. Okay, I got to get that to you.
Yeah. Well, just how do you think of those things? Are you like woman on the street who's like, okay, that bag is problematic. Here's how we can fix for it. Or is it your own set of problems as you
Sometimes it's just like that, like I think that idea came from an original like weird old gym bag idea. So there are functional things where it's like, sometimes it's like the gym bags with the shoes on the bottom. Sometimes, like there's things that you were like, oh, that's so cute, but it's so not cute.
Yeah.
How do we make it cute? And how do I then elevate and make it really, really luxurious? And I think that's the fun of what we do here. And we also have an amazing team that we work with to come up with these crazy ideas. And, we're always finding stuff. And then we're like, how do we make this and make it better? So
yeah,
it's so fun.
I
love it.
You love what?
I love making product. It's just so fun.
Well, good, really, because you do a good job. So we want you to stay in the game. I'm glad you love it. You just talked about your team really quickly. I was just curious, how much of your work has shifted from being the creator, being a designer, and being a manager? Because I know for a lot of entrepreneurs, that can be really tough. Like, oh, I want to bake cupcakes and have a cupcake shop. And then you realize, I'm no longer baking cupcakes because I got to run a team. And how has that been for you?
I think we're still doing both. So we're still baking the cupcakes and we're still managing. So it's a little bit of both always. But it is, and I think it's really trusting and finding people with the same same vision on where you want to
Mm.
go and how they approach product and how they see things. And I think that's really important, and it's really hard to find, but Matt and I are super lucky with all the people we have around us. They really do understand, you know, this whole mission of what we're trying to do. And I love it.
And what would you say the mission is? I mean, it's not just making a handbag, clearly, it's more than that.
Yeah. The mission is really, I think, we always have this one word, and I always end everything I do or begin everything I do with this idea of onward.
Mm.
And I think the mission is, how do we keep moving forward? And it's like you bring this up, like, okay, maybe you're at this third stage in your life, or you don't want to see it, whatever stage, but keep moving onward. Don't
Mhm.
stick with where you're at, because then once you don't move, then that's when things don't change
Yeah.
and you don't get better. So, um, really, like, and that's why we like to create these products, because I feel like, let's put a handbag in your hands where you feel like, I feel really good about myself today.
Yeah.
And if you could feel that, then you could feel like, I'm going to keep moving onward, and I want to get dressed. And I feel like sometimes people talk about getting dressed and, buying handbags, buying shoes. And that seems like such a frivolous thing. I find it so important. It's such a key thing, part of, like, especially as we get older, of staying with the times. Like, I really
Mhm.
envision that. And also just moving forward as a human being. You really
Mhm.
have to feel that swagger when you wake up. Like, don't get stuck wearing the same clothes that you had in your closet 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You have to keep with the times, get new pants, like, that's how you feel like you're moving onward.
Yeah.
And that's when you feel like, yeah, I think I could do this,
Yeah.
whatever it is that you have a dream about doing, because you're fully dressed today and you feel good. And I feel like if we could imbue that kind of spirit in our bags that I pass on to you, or the bracelet you put on and you look down and you're like, oh, okay. Sometimes you feel stuck and you're like, oh, you know what? Let's keep moving. Keep moving.
Where did you get that? Were you always born with that sort of sense of possibility and positivity, or did that come from your parents? Where did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes from my parents who moved here, without speaking any English, and they've really
Yeah.
shown us, like, this is the way to, that we can, do things. And then also for us, and I came here when I was 7, and I had to go to school where I really could not speak English at all. And I think from then on, I was really like, I remember I was held back a year, and I was like hell bent on, like, no way, I'm not doing that. So I was like, I'm going to learn how to speak English, and I'm going to figure out how to do this. So I think it stemmed from that a little bit of, like, just
Mhm.
being real scrappy of, like, and I was thinking about that this morning. I was like, God, like, how did I even learn to speak English so quickly?
Yeah.
But it was just like I had this determination, like, I'm going to do this, and let me see what I can do. So I watched TV, I recorded myself, like, it was just crazy. And then I got to skip the grade that I was held back on. So
Wow.
it's pretty crazy. But
That's
yeah,
crazy. What a
but I
great
really,
story.
yeah. So I really feel like I feel strongly about that with what we're doing. And, I hope that Matt and I put that out there, is just this idea of moving onward. And if we could get one person who feels stuck to keep moving onward, I think we've done our job for the day.
That's very cool. I love that, Irene. And I realize that it's the moving onward. I mean, with a handbag, right? It's almost a metaphor for just progress. Like, just
Yeah.
it's not frivolous. Like, you were
No.
saying, oh, people think it's just a handbag or shoes or whatever. It's almost a form of caring for yourself, thinking that you're
Yes.
valued and worth it, and let me give myself
I
um,
love that.
this thing that propels me into the world. Right? It gives
Yeah.
me, whether it's a sense of confidence, or I look like I know what I'm doing when I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I went to the thing this morning
So
with a
good.
lot of women who know way much more than I do, but just you know putting on my bag and having my
Yep.
jacket and just acting like I belong here. I belong here.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I also feel like it trickles down into everything. Like, okay, well, then I'm going to get in shape. Like, it comes
Yeah.
down to, like, everything that you do, but that's how you stay just moving, and stay moving with the times. And I think that's so important. I really feel that. Sometimes it's just like, even with your furniture at home, sometimes, you're like, you got to
Yeah.
change things up. You
Yeah.
can't get stuck. It's really important. And it
Switch up
doesn't
your
mean you have to spend $1
perspective.
billion. Like
Yeah.
maybe throw on a different cover on it if you don't want to replace a couch. But it's just really moving with the times is critical.
Yeah.
Don't get stuck.
Thank you for that. I feel like we're getting a little
Oh.
bit of your wisdom and your life
No.
philosophy. I need to ask you because the
course.
podcast is Liberty Road.
Yeah.
How would you say, very specifically, your work
Sure.
has liberated you? And I would say apart from your husband, like just think of Irene, the woman who's 55, who's looking back at this really remarkable career, both in corporate and as an entrepreneur. And you've built this thing and you're saying, maybe the corporate thing liberated something in you, but this thing you built, what has it liberated in you?
It's really liberated me in terms of like not caring about what other people think and doing what you believe that you are doing is correct.
Mm,
And sometimes what we're doing is so strange. Like, you asked about how we started doing, just our weird like getting on the web and
yeah.
building this. It was always about like, let's just do it. And this is what I feel like doing right now. And that's really liberated me from like going with the flock of what everybody else is doing. And I think it's been a great, learning for me. It's learning every day, but it's
Yeah.
keeping true to that. It's what I feel. And sometimes it's like, sometimes even people are like, what? Why would you do that? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's just do it this way. It's weird, but let's do it this way. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But really, keeping to that is really critical because I think I have, I still am and I have to work through it, but it's like always wanting to be a people pleaser, and going with it. But I think it's really as we move on with our, what we're doing and having more confidence with what we're doing, it's really liberated me in just like that way where it's like, okay, I don't know. I don't care. Let's just do it this way because I feel like it.
Because I feel like it.
Yeah.
And I trust myself.
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
done this so many times and I've seen this so many times that I kind of feel this is the right thing to do. Let's do it this way.
You know what's so cool about hearing you say that? It changes the conversation from we're going to do this because it's the right thing to do to we're going to do this because this is what I want to put out in the world. It doesn't have to be right or wrong.
No, it
Th-
doesn't.
This is, I'm my wanting to do it is enough.
Yeah. And I think you have to have a North Star. So I
Yeah.
think it's like I always say, you ask me what our mission is. And I'm like, our mission is to just imbue that spirit in you, one person. I always focus on one. And if we could do that, great. One guy can go to the grocery store and feel great about themselves. That's awesome. We did our job. Or like
That's cool.
I always get these great notes like, I was at Whole Foods and someone came up to me and said they loved my Parker Thatch. And that made me feel so good, and I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome, and I think that's our job.
That's cool. I'm so
Yeah.
glad that we had this conversation. You're
Yeah,
like
I can't wait
you're a
to meet
little
you in person.
fireball. You have so much great energy. I love it.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Thank
No,
you.
I love what you do. So thank you. Seriously, it's
Absolutely.
awesome. It's so awesome.
Absolutely. We need to get you
Never
down
too
here
old.
in LA after you've got your son in school and you're ready to do
Okay.
your little
A
pop-ups in
road show?
various cities. Come down and your sister and I will host an event for you.
Oh,
We'll
it'll
get
be so fun.
all the LA
Let's do it.
ladies. Let's do it.
Let's do it. And just, onward, man. Let's
Onward.
go.
Onward.
Keep going.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for just taking the time to be on the podcast with us and to
It's
share
so
your
fun.
story and your voice with me and all that are listening. I really appreciate
So
it.
fun. Thank you so much. It was really fun. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Can't wait to meet you in person.
I know, me too. Liberty listeners, thank you guys for hanging out with us. And I know you'll take so many things that Irene has said to heart. And I'm excited for you guys to listen to this one on repeat just to get a little dose of sunshine in your day. And as Irene says, onward. So until next week, bye for now.